all these years. The isolation.
This is it. This is my life.
I'm going to start with a question out of the left field. Are you a fan of post-rock music? The reason I'm asked is not only the soundtrack of your film, but also the style of your film, because it shares some qualities with post-rock music in a way that it starts very small, pastoral almost, and then grows and grows and becomes epic and grand. And was it something that you
were aiming for? Post-rock. Post-rock. No, that's really interesting. No, I do really like a lot of post-rock. I was thinking a lot about music just in prep. Like I had this 24-hour playlist that was just, I was constantly shuffling, and shoegaze was kind of more the genre that I was like really trying to kind of emulate with it. But there was a musicality to the script where it was just, as you said, it was just like that slow, like it starts very, very kind of measured and austere, and it's almost like the sense of like storm clouds slowly kind of contracting and knitting together over the course of the film. The composer Bobby Krylik and I really latched onto shoegaze as a kind of guiding principle in terms of the sound, in that it has this these kind of walls of aggressive guitar and this intense sort of watery wall of sound, but then underneath that there are these angelic vocals kind of trying to prod through that, and there was a kind of sense of repression, I think, like built into that sound that connected to the characters and also connected to the kind of spiritual aspect of the film.
And there are like two modes in a way to the film, like the speaking mode and the non-speaking mode, which creates a sort of a rhythm. When you're speaking about musicality, was it also conceived as such?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the first 20 pages or so were always basically a silent film in the script, and I think the silence was always kind of something that we always knew. We basically from the beginning wanted it to be as silent as possible, and then I think as a result of that, of like kind of holding back on dialogue and holding back, then there would be these moments where the kind of clouds would open, there would be like a ton of dialogue in a spurt, but then we would kind of go back into silence again. And I think I was always more interested in what was communicated between the characters, and also between the characters and the environment in the times between the words.
Okay, and being a first-time director, how do you direct Sean Bean and Samantha Morton, not to mention Daniel Day-Lewis?
It was super intimidating because, I mean, less so actually with my dad, because obviously he's my dad, but also we had written it together, so we had all that kind of background work we had done over years. But with Sean Bean and Sam Morton, it was like a different, I tried to really just approach each actor as if it was like its own film or something, like its own world, because everyone works so differently. And I think with Sean, it was so much of the part is just like listening, and I thought it was really a masterclass what he did in terms of like in terms of not, what he was able to achieve without talking, without just in silence. And it was about kind of figuring out what was the least he could do physically to convey this whole emotional journey he was on. But it was very kind of intuitive with him. And then with Sam Morton, it was, I think for her, it's really helpful to construct the kind of physical details of the world, sort of similar to my dad actually, before, so that she can kind of step into it and believe it herself. So, we would walk around the set and she'd be like, Nessa wouldn't have this on the wall, like this key wouldn't be here. It was like a very kind of careful building of this, and we wrote like a backstory for a character that was very detailed, and it was more kind of making a playpen and then kind of stepping into it. And it was like really just meeting each kind of person and artist, like where they were, and kind of feeling it out.
And you mentioned writing it throughout the years with your dad. How did that go about? Did you do drafts? Did you just speak about it?
It was, it's funny because we didn't really do drafts for like explicit drafts for the most part, because we didn't go in with an outline or anything, which was different from my experience working on other scripts where I had like a roadmap of where exactly it was going. But we basically started with just the seed of this scenario, and then we were just following this scenario and the characters and the kind of feeling of the beat that those first 10 pages had when we wrote them blindly into the dark. And so we were writing kind of sequentially. I mean, sometimes we'd find a scene that was sort of an island that we knew would be later on, and we weren't sure to kind of connect to it. But for the most part, we were kind of just sequentially working through the story very slowly, like over the course of 4 years was basically our time to write the first draft. It was like very literally character led, with a lot of improvisation and a lot of just considering, you know, okay, how does this character react to this? And then how does that character react to this? And yeah, so it was, there was basically one main draft, and then we went back and we made alterations to it.
And this is very much a film about fathers. You have the father priest, the father as in God, the biological father, the non-biological father, and you cast your own father as well. Was that the idea, to give it this sort of a meta level?
Yeah, it was funny. Originally, it was very unconscious at first, like, because the idea of brothers was kind of the initial seed, but then as we worked on the script, the kind of meta aspect of it started to become more clear to us, and we thought it was kind of funny at first, because we were just like, how did we end up kind of arriving at this? But I think a big turning point was when Brian, the son, went from being more of a kind of footnote on the periphery to of the story to being a real flesh and blood person that we spent time with. Like, the first scene we wrote where we were just in the bedroom with him alone was important, because it kind of opened up this whole other perspective, and that whole thing of the father-son thread and the kind of the fascination with the mystery of your parents' kind of past life became really palpable, and became like something that I felt like I could find a personal way into, even if the film was anything but autobiographical in the actual like circumstances of the characters' lives.
Okay, so just one more question. I'm sure that you've seen most of Daniel Day-Lewis's films.
Yeah.
So if you were to pick one of his roles, which one would it be?
Such a tough one. It would probably be between two films, probably There Will Be Blood and The Ballad of Jack and Rose, the film that my parents made together, that I was actually on. We lived on Prince Edward Island for a few months when they were shooting that. I was like 5, and so I have that personal connection to it. And I know I'm biased, but it's also just like one of my favorite films of all time. And There Will Be Blood also just speaks for itself. Like, but yeah, those would probably be it. But I don't know. I feel like that would change all the time. So asking me now, that's what comes to mind.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.